Welcome to Studio 5. We've got a great show lined up this week. Filmmaker DeVon Franklin is here with a new book. We're taking a look at the soap opera created by a Christian entertainment house. And we have your first look at what's new at the box office this week. Now, in addition to all that, we are counting down what's new and now in the world of uplifting entertainment. We begin with number 5. At number 5.
This is what I've presented to you all these years as my long and noisy prayer, as my magic trick.
The boss made headlines for opening up about his faith, and
when I was a young man and looking for a voice to tell my stories, well, I chose my father's voice. My father was my hero and my greatest foe.
He's doing it again in this Bruce Springsteen on Broadway Netflix special.
Mom was a different story altogether. Kindness, optimism, civility. She made me understand for the first time how good it feels. Feel pride in somebody that you love.
The highly praised Broadway show is available on Netflix right now.
I wanted to be able to celebrate and honor its beauty. I wanted to be able to be a critical voice when I thought that that's what the times called for.
At number 4.
Love is the way poverty will become history.
Bishop Michael Curry stepped onto the world stage delivering the sermon at the royal wedding. He's now lending his voice to the History Channel's 8-part event, Jesus, His Life. And Studio 5 has this exclusive first look at photographs from the special that begins March 25th and concludes just before Easter. That's Greg Barnett as Jesus.
That's a new heaven, a new earth.
Joining Bishop Curry in the special are theologian Candida Moss, Pastor Joel Osteen, former presidential advisor Joshua Dubois, and others. And we're getting to number 3 in the countdown in just a few moments. Right now, we turn to filmmaker, preacher, and best-selling author DeVon Franklin. He has a new book. It's called The Truth About Men. Here in Hollywood, DeVon Franklin isn't your typical film executive. This behind-the-scenes movie maker graces magazine covers. He's married to actress Megan Good, and he's a minister.
You have to have purity, intention, integrity in your motives. Hallelujah, somebody.
Succeeding against the odds is a familiar script.
Don't ever let somebody tell you you can't do something.
For the man who helped to make The Pursuit of Happiness, Heaven is for Real, and Annie. The latest chapter for the already best-selling author is this new book, The Truth About Men, What Men and Women Need to Know.
As I read this and I'm seeing the headlines unfold in our world, I was curious what was happening around you as you decided to address issues that men face. I mean, we're seeing in our world R. Kelly docuseries, we're seeing Harvey Weinstein, we're seeing Bill Cosby, we're seeing all these what were believed to be great men, and all of this fallout.
Yeah, you know, I mean, interestingly enough, my decision to write the book had nothing to do with any of that. It just so happened that everything was kind of happening, you know, adjacently, so to speak. You know, my motivation really came a lot from the weight. You know, my wife and I, you know, Megan, we wrote The Weight a couple years ago, and that book has gone all around the world and really, you know, started a movement of people waiting until marriage to have sex. And so what was happening is that a lot of women started reaching out, saying that as they decided to wait, they couldn't find any men that would wait with them. And so that was one of the things that motivated me to say, what's going on here? You know, what's going on with men? What are our issues? What are our struggles? And in order to identify the answer to that question, I had to look in the mirror. I had to say, well, okay, what are my struggles? What are the things that I've been going through? And so as I began to look at my struggles and also, you know, look at my family history, these are the things that began to align that really motivated me to say, okay, we can do something about this. Here's what we do about it. And it only starts with me as a man, a committee of one, making the decision to be the man that I was created to be by being transparent and by not pointing the finger at other men, but saying, hey, here's what we can do, here's how we can do it, and also giving women information along the way. So important. This is not just a book for men, it's a book for men and women.
Absolutely. people sitting here and hearing you say this, that it begins with you looking at your own struggles, would find it hard to believe that you have any in that regard, because you waited, you've got a beautiful wife, a wonderful career, a man of faith. What do you mean you've got struggles?
Oh man, listen, but that's one of the reasons why I wrote the book, because too often we put people on pedestals, you know, and especially men. You know, we say, oh, this person, we judge their public success, and we make a judgment call about their personal success. And I wrote this book to say there's a difference. And too often as men, and especially in the public, we look at the public success and say, oh, that man's got it together. Well, we don't know what goes on. What I know is that all men struggle, me included. And so I wanted to write this book to try to demystify, you know, people in the public, myself. Just because, you know, I have a persona and people know me, that doesn't mean that I'm above struggling and dealing with these issues. So I wrote this book to say, no, I'm just like anyone else. You know, as my uncle would say, I'm a beggar telling one beggar where to find bread. Okay, my uncle was a preacher. And so I talk about these struggles. I say, listen, you know, I think every man, the struggle that every man has is lust. And every man struggles between love and lust. And I define lust as a selfish impulse for sexual, financial, personal, or professional gain by any means necessary, even if those means are detrimental. And lust is selfish. It wants what it wants whenever it wants it. So in the book, I use the analogy of a dog training, to help describe how lust operates in a man. And I believe that lust, when it goes unchecked, operates like an untrained dog. And there's nothing cute about an untrained dog. You may see a dog and say, oh, he's cute. No, but he's going to tear up everything, or that dog's going to tear up everything if it's not mastered. But I also believe every man has love in them. Love of God, love of self, love of the woman in their life, love of family, love of community. Love is selfless. In order for men to be who we're called to be, we have to learn to master the dog. We have to put love in control of lust. We have to put selflessness in control of selfishness. And for me, when I began to look internally, I began to realize, hey, you know, don't matter who people think I am, you know, I have this dog in me. I have this lust in me. And if I don't acknowledge it and don't put myself on a path to deal with it, I will have to look my wife in the eye one day, because I will have allowed this dog in me to do something that I didn't want to do because I didn't have enough courage to acknowledge it prior to it becoming a problem.
DeVon's book is in stores and available everywhere February 5th. By the way, his next movie is Breakthrough, and it's in theaters Easter weekend. We have a preview, though, a special preview of the film coming up in just a little bit.
Still ahead.
You have an army to fight, a demon to slay, a country to save.
Magic meets the modern world. We're taking a photographic look at the kid who would be king.
And welcome back to Studio 5. The countdown of the best uplifting entertainment stories continues now. Here's number 3.
At number 3.
I don't know.
Somebody help! Help!
And in case you missed it,
Didn't kill nobody. You think I'm a murderer?
I didn't raise a murderer.
set in Chicago, Canal Street is the story of a young man wrongfully accused of murdering a classmate in front of the victim's house.
Are you a God-loving man?
Yes.
Then you will be vindicated.
It's in American theaters right now. With executive producer Pat Smith on the project, it's described as part courtroom drama, part faith-based inspiration.
Once we love one another in spite of our differences, once we love one another in spite of our flaws, let them know I am with you.
At number 2.
I got this feeling inside my bones.
That famous Justin Timberlake tune brought the pop star to a San Antonio hospital.
JTC me! JTC me.
The kids had lobbied Timberlake with a series of videos to his song Can't Stop the Feeling.
And JT answered the call.
Justin Timberlake showed some love to his young fans. The singer popped into a San Antonio hospital on Friday where he posed for pictures with young patients.
We have only one more headline in this week's countdown. We'll get to that in just a bit. Now, you know DeVon Franklin was our sit-down guest this week, so we thought it was only fitting for us to preview his new film, Breakthrough. Here's an all-new Studio 5 first look.
No, he's not. We got you.
Hey, boys! Get off the ice! Not safe!
You're not going anywhere. Stop.
All available trucks, we have a drowning event at Lake St.
17-year-old male, unresponsive and pulseless.
Everyone clear?
No pulse.
There's nothing more we can do.
This is the most powerful, compelling, verifiable, authenticated miracle story in recent history. Period, bar none.
Joyce Smith?
Yes?
We're doing everything we can for your son, but John isn't responding.
There her son was without a pulse. She touched his feet, they were completely cold. And she said, you know what? I'm not gonna claim death, I'm about to claim life.
Please, God, send your Holy Spirit to save my son!
The EKG machine started going off. He came back to life.
In all, I was dead for over an hour.
So far in my life, God had always been and done what he said he could do. And so I just started praying.
Mom came in, she prayed, and instantly I had a pulse.
Everybody that I explain the plot to gets goosebumps just even thinking about that something like this could happen.
It's hard to believe. And I'm a part of the story, telling the story, and it's hard for me to believe.
This movie is described as a medical miracle because just that one idea, patient dead, mother prayed, patient came back to life. This is a modern day resurrection story.
When Joyce finally gave that complete surrender to God and said, you have to take this, there's no question that something miraculous happened.
Your son is alive, but his pulse is very, very weak. At best, we have a long road ahead. And I'm not gonna lie to you. We're in uncharted territory.
It's not just about one miracle. It's about a series of miracles. Those miracles happened to John and to Joyce and that family, but then, like a ripple in a lake, those miracles just keep moving out. The circle keeps getting wider.
Oh, this is so wonderful. Wow, look at these prayers.
Our church and our friends were phenomenal. There was probably 20 people that had already started gathering. By that evening, there was probably close to 75 to 100 people there, and they were overflowing the waiting room out into the hallway.
How people rallied around John and his family in their time of need. People being really selfless and sacrificing their time, their resources. The power in the community and power in faith is strong, and it's something that this world needs all through and through.
We had a prayer vigil with 300 people at the church, and to hear people pray and cry out to God for John, I thought this is what heaven is like. This is probably what heaven is like. They just are believing for God, just a spirit of faith.
Prayer is the centerpiece of the story. People coming together, praying, believing that God listens and answers our prayers. Simply stated, prayer changes everything.
If it be your will. I think the most amazing thing about this movie is that it happened. This isn't fiction.
True stories like this make the case for God. The skeptic will say, man, I don't know. Okay, DeVon, I know you were involved in heavens for real, but okay, I don't believe that. Okay, miracles from heaven. I don't know how she got cured when she fell down the tree, but nah, I don't think so. Ah, man, but wow. I mean, the kid is alive. Maybe there's something to that.
I come from a family of doctors, and this is one of those stories that the medical community knows, and there's no explanation. I mean, it's truly, in that sense, a miracle.
We rely on doctors, and I think doctors are great. I mean, they're a huge blessing. But there's a time when they say there's nothing else we can do. And I think it's that moment where God's able to step in, and you see his hand.
And the moment she prays, not an hour later, not 5 days later, the moment she prays, every single apparatus on that boy turns on.
There's simply no other explanation. Your son's a miracle.
Breakthrough is in American theaters Easter weekend.
And still to come.
You know as well as I do that Dad is controlling the strings around here. Alicia doesn't even know what VP of programming is.
We go behind the scenes of a Christian-produced soap opera.
And welcome back to Studio 5. It is time now for the final headline in this week's countdown.
At number 1. And hot off the presses, Lecrae and his Reach record label artists are hitting the road for the Unashamed Forever Tour. Ticket sales begin January 25th for the tour that begins in D.C. March 14th. Andy Mineo, KB, Trip Lee, and Tadashi are all on the concert bill.
What's next musically for you?
Musically is the album that's coming soon, man, and everybody's been asking about
Yes.
it. I can't wait.
But while we wait,
can I hear Jumped Out the Whip? Ah, new heat by Tadashi.
we can catch him on the Unashamed Forever Tour.
When you get me, man, I'll be out in these streets,
That wraps this week's countdown and brings us to what some call the world's first hope opera. And Studio 5 traveled to LA to bring you this first look at this bright spot. Here's a look at Hilton Head Island through the eyes of the stars Linda Gray, Antonio Sabato Jr., and Olympian-turned-actor Jamie Nieto.
Your network is nothing more than a front for hiding corruption of your family.
That's a lie, and you know it.
It makes for very good reading, doesn't it?
That's actress Linda Gray, one of the newest faces to join the cast of Hilton Head Island.
She's fabulous. Her name is Eloise Breckenridge. Don't you love her name?
I love the name.
And she owns the Hilton Head Herald, the newspaper. She's strong and powerful, not terribly likable, but she knows what she's doing and she knows what she wants.
These are snapshots from the Pure Flix production, described as traditional values and spiritual faith meet the challenges of personal ambition in the high-powered world of network television. Back now for season 2, with fictional drama that often mirrors reality.
Life is this wonderful adventure, this wonderful journey, and we all have lumps and bumps and roadblocks and potholes, and it's the way you deal with those things. I mean, we've all had, deaths and births and divorces and all kinds of life things that happen. And it's the way you deal with them, I mean, I've lost a lot of people in my family, and, but I bless the time that I did have with them. And I think every day is another adventure. It's the way you choose to look at things that makes the difference.
That difference is seen off-screen in Olympian Jamie Nieto, who's defying the odds and doctors after injuring his spinal cord in a misguided backflip while coaching in 2016. He's walking again.
Hey, I learned a long time ago that when good things happen, you don't ask why.
And playing a physician here on Hilton Head Island, we caught up with the actor on the set of the show. He lives by the mantra, your only limitations are what you believe them to be.
Everything that we do starts with the mind, and if you believe, then you can achieve in a sense, If you think that you're not going to do something, you're probably not going to do it, but if you think that you can, you're more apt to actually do that. I didn't always believe that I could become an Olympian, and it took time, and then I did start to believe, and when I did start to believe, things started to change in my life.
Aren't you forgetting something? We have a new CEO who seems eager to make her mark.
I'm not worried about Alicia. Sooner or later, she'll make a mistake. We just need to be ready to help her make the worst of it.
And what if we never get that chance?
Antonio Sabato Jr. is also back for season 2 of this Pure Flix production that's taken many by surprise.
Yeah, faith-based soap opera. Yeah, we need more faith-based everything. I think we need to talk about the Word. We need to talk about spiritual awakenings. We need to talk about positive stuff, and I think we don't have enough of that. So this is just another way to reach more people and say, you know what, we have a good message here. Enjoy the show.
And Hilton Head Island is available right now on Pure Flix's streaming platform. Right now, it is time to say it in pictures. So take a look at this week's Studio 5 snapshot.
Maybe it's a prank, a YouTube thing, a social experiment. Maybe there were hidden cameras. Look. There's something written on the guard. Put it into Google Translate. Gladius Arturi Filius Tintagelli. It's Latin. It means sword of Arthur, son of Tintagel.
This story begins when young Alex stumbles upon a sword, and it's described as magic meets the modern world. And these photographs from the kid who would be king is in American theaters this Friday. And it's this week's Studio 5 Snapshot. Still to come. Singer, preacher, and writer William McDowell shares one moment that changed everything.
And we are back in Studio 5. Music keeps us going as we're working to bring you this show each week. And this week's soundtrack comes from Sir the Baptist. He's known to his fans like me as the hip-hop chaplain. Take a listen to why his single with Donald Lawrence titled What We Got is what's playing in my ear.
See if you just be fake. Hey, the good love we give you more. This what we got. Stand your ground. This what we got. God for what we got.
Let's go forward. What we got. Well, if you are a fan of hip hop and you haven't sampled Sir the Baptist, you really need to do just that. Well, we are almost out of time for this episode of Studio 5. So here's a look at what we're working to bring you just next week.
They gon' know about us. They gon' know about us. 622 plus, gon' add it up.
Before embarking on the 116's Unashamed tour and hitting the road with his equally famous label mates.
I hear a message from you now, never fold. What's that about?
Tadashi pays a visit to Studio 5 for a heart-to-heart talk.
Calamity is real, and it happens in the church as much as it does in the world.
That story is coming next week, and we hope you will join us for that and so much more. Now, before we say goodbye, we've got a final word from recording artist, pastor, and author William McDowell. Hear how one moment changed his life and a lesson that can change yours as well.
I read years ago, maybe 20 years ago, Tommy Tenney's book, God Chasers. That did that for me. That was one of those moments where it was like, okay, everything changes from this moment. Everything changes from reading this. It's like I decided at that moment I would not leave this posture, this place, until I saw a move of God take place. My desire is that the people, the generations alive on the earth right now and the next generation coming up will get a hold of this and say, I want it. If we can get a group of people on the earth who will just agree to want what God wants to release, we'll see it. The Lord wants to do this. He's just looking for some partners in the earth who say we want it.
God is simply looking for partners in the earth to say, we want it. That is a great final word for this edition of Studio 5 and this look at uplifting entertainment. Until next time, make time to uplift someone else. Bye-bye, everybody.